Breaking news tonight on KGW as the Rose City becomes the center of another violent encounter with federal agents.
It's truly tragic and truly sad that we have to start the new year off in Portland, Oregon like this.
A Customs and Border Protection agent shoots and injures two people, prompting outrage among some community members.
This has gone too far.
And bringing leaders together, calling for change.
My message to the federal government is this: we demand transparency.
There's a big difference between law enforcement and state-sponsored terrorism, and that's what this feels like.
Also tonight, the Cascades get clobbered. How much is on the slopes with some bluebird days now on the way? And later,
this game is going to be what college football is about.
We're on the ground in Atlanta as the Ducks count down to the Peach Bowl, hoping for a shot at the national championship.
good evening, everyone. Let's get right to the latest after a federal agent shot and injured two people in southeast Portland. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. The details of this case have really captured the nation's attention, with tension already high 1 day after an ICE agent killed a woman in Minneapolis.
We have live team coverage tonight with Alma McCarty outside the South Portland ICE facility as reaction from our leaders and ordinary people continues to pour in.
But first to our Catherine Cook near Adventist Health in southeast Portland, where it appears this all began. Catherine.
David and Christine, the parking lot of this medical clinic once again reopened tonight. You can see it is clear of yellow tape. Federal agents took it with them when they left just about 20 minutes ago. And they spent the last 8 hours here processing a complicated scene. The FBI is the lead agency on this case, which began this afternoon when federal agents tried to make a targeted vehicle stop. The parking lot of this Southeast Portland Medical Clinic now ground zero for the latest shooting involving federal agents. Just before 2:30 Thursday, the Department of Homeland Security says U.S. Border Patrol agents shot two people here while conducting a targeted vehicle stop near Southeast 102nd and Main. Inside the car, a man and woman, both in their 30s and both, feds say, undocumented immigrants from Venezuela affiliated with a gang, prostitution ring, and recently involved in a Portland shooting. Federal officials say when agents identified themselves, the driver tried to run over the agents. That, they say, is when an agent shot at the car. The injured man and woman drove off in this red pickup. You can see the window's been blown out. It ended up here, 3 miles away at 146th and East Burnside. Portland police responded and officers rendered first aid before medics rushed the pair to the hospital. 911 recordings offer a glimpse of their injuries.
It looks like Kohler saying that he was shot twice by ICE and his wife was shot as well. We have a male who was twice in the arm and his wife who was shot in the chest.
Portland police secured both scenes. Police Chief Bob Day adamant that that was their only role in this case.
We do not know the facts of this case. We are simply providing that traditional investigative support and perimeter support.
As federal officials processed the scene, Multnomah County DA Nathan Vasquez processed the situation.
I think the message to the community is that local officials are very carefully monitoring this, and we're making sure that the interests of this community are well represented and that this investigation is done in a thorough and complete manner.
I'm back live in southeast Portland. No word tonight on the condition of those two shooting survivors. It is worth noting that as agents left, they also brought out that black sedan in a tow truck, left the scene as well. The front end was missing, as you could see. It is unclear who that vehicle belonged to, whether it was federal agents, but it was clearly part of this investigation. Back to you.
Now, a lot of questions tonight. Let us hope we get some answers. Catherine Cook in southeast Portland. Thanks, Catherine. Tonight, leaders at nearly every level are speaking out, calling for transparency, accountability, and most of all, peace.
Portland's mayor also calling for ICE to get out of the city, at least for now.
We know what the federal government says happened here. There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past. That is why we are calling on ICE to halt all operations in Portland until a full and independent investigation can take place.
When a president endorses tearing families apart and attempts to govern through fear and hate rather than shared values, you foster an environment of lawlessness and recklessness. Trust is essential to maintaining community safety and the rule of law.
Well, outrage, anger, heartbreak, frustration, and lots of questions, just some of what we have heard over the course of this evening.
And some people are demonstrating at the ICE facility in South Portland. That's where our Alma McCarty is live tonight. Alma, what are you seeing there on the ground?
Yeah, David, Christine, I first want to say that we have kind of moved away from the action, away from the crowd, just so that we could give you guys a better look at what is going on without some of the profanity that we have been seeing and hearing while we have been out here. What I can tell you is there's about 150 people or so that are out in this area, in this spot, protesting. Here's some video from earlier this evening. I want to say an hour, 30-ish minutes ago. While people have been vocal, and there has been quite a few people out here compared to even yesterday, it has been relatively calm. There were just now some Portland police officers that were on bikes that drove through the area. They have been asking people to get out of the roadway, to clear the roadway, but people for the most part have been standing around and protesting this evening. Of course, people are fired up when it comes to the incident that happened earlier today. And so were neighbors, of course, that we were out speaking with earlier at the second scene this evening on Northeast 146th and Burnside, where the man and woman who were shot ended up.
Thursday night, police tape surrounded this Northeast Portland apartment complex and parking lot, and onlookers surrounded the scene.
It's truly tragic and truly sad that we have to start the new year off in Portland, Oregon like this.
Many of them neighbors from across the street or a couple blocks away.
I'm scared for my kids and my family and for anybody, any of my friends. You know, I have some friends that live over here and I had to make sure they were okay.
At this point, it's ridiculous, and I think I wish I had all the answers, but I think that something needs to be done.
We're kind of repeating patterns, but everything's different with, the world these days.
Some already feeling a sense of heartache before the incident even unfolded. Their minds still focused on the deadly incident in Minneapolis.
I was actually supposed to go to work today and I couldn't sleep all night. I had a really bad migraine. I called off work. I can't function.
It's tragic for the family. I don't know what the family is going to go through. I'm not sure, but we are going to go ahead and send our prayers out to them.
And we heard from several neighbors and some of the activists who were out there at that scene on East Burnside, who told us that they were going to be coming down here to the ICE facility to continue protesting against federal agents in the wake of that shooting today. David, Christine, sending it back to you.
A very active evening there down on the South Waterfront at the ICE facility. Alma McCarty reporting. Thank you, Alma.
Well, let's show you the scene earlier this evening outside City Hall, where people had been protesting before learning about the latest shooting. Initially, they were calling on city leaders to do something about ICE after that deadly shooting in Minneapolis. And as you can imagine, the demonstration only grew. Here's Portland City Councilor Samir Kanal, who says he is outraged by today's events, but not surprised.
We've been talking about ICE and its activities, its lawlessness for months now. And actually, this is a conversation that goes back years. And it's just a matter of time until something like this happened here, until the federal government reins in this force and takes it apart. We will not have an end to the violence.
He said locally, the city can try to pass a policy to prevent federal agents from wearing masks, but a change in deployment and resources is up to the Trump administration. We've also heard from federal lawmakers, including Representative Janelle Bynum and Senator Jeff Merkley.
They blame the federal government for being untrustworthy, their words, when it comes to immigration enforcement. But they also point to Republican lawmakers they say aren't putting enough pressure on the White House and holding the Trump administration accountable.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have enough tools. What we do have are oversight hearings, but my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate, who are in the majority and therefore can decide what hearings are held, have been extremely reluctant to hold oversight hearings. And when they have been held, we get very little honest conversation about the challenges we're facing and the conduct.
We need to call BS when we see it, which is what we're doing now, and we need to make sure that we continue to press for comprehensive immigration policy and do not fall for this trickery that is masquerading as law enforcement when we know that it is state-sanctioned terrorism.
All right, some pointed words from Democrats there. With the FBI now leading the investigation tonight, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield, also a Democrat, declared he is opening a formal investigation into the shooting and the actions of the agents involved.
And this evening, we also heard from a former FBI agent who trained federal officers. We asked Brian Dugan to weigh in on the bigger picture here. He said from his perspective, what we've seen in Portland and Minneapolis is a product of escalated enforcement that's moving too fast.
We're trying to go after more violent offenders and or effectuate more immigration arrests. That means there's just a lot more contact in an operational sense, and especially when there's a lot more unknowns. It's making a tinderbox for both the law enforcement professionals and the citizenry.
Dugan says he'd like to see a pause to make sure agents are handling these kinds of arrests in the right way. He also tells us under federal rules on use of force investigations, there won't be many public updates going forward.
So, of course, we will keep pushing to bring you all the information we can, asking questions and holding leaders and law enforcement accountable.
Look for the latest anytime on KGW.com and on our free TV streaming app, KGW+.
All right, let's take a deep breath now and talk about our forecast with the 3-day snowstorm in the Cascades finally winding down.
Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino joining us now. Matt, how much snow did the mountain see?
It's impressive, Christine. We are now pushing up at Timberline. Check this out. 3 feet now, 36 inches at last count, which is about 20 minutes ago. And it's still snowing up there. It's fairly light. It's really kind of scattered out to showers, but it is still snowing up there and 24 degrees and the wind gusting about 20 miles an hour. So here are the totals. 36 inches at Timberline, Meadows right behind. Ski Bowl 21 inches. That's enough to get them open. The list will be spinning tomorrow for night skiing. They open at 3 p.m. tomorrow at Ski Bowl. So if you want to go night skiing, tomorrow night's your night up at Ski Bowl. Bachelor had nearly 30 inches of snow. Mount Rainier over 30 inches of snow as well. So this is exactly what we needed in the Cascades to help boost our fairly meager snowpack and get ski season, the skiable terrain, open in a much wider way. There are still showers out there in downtown Portland. It's a fairly misty one. It's pretty light, and the snow showers in the Cascades, but you see there's really nothing left upstream. Excuse me. So we're going to be winding down with these showers as we go into the overnight hours. They will end. A few showers on Sunday. Other than that, wow, the big dry sets in with some really warm temperatures next week. I'll show you how warm in a bit, guys.
Oh, I feel like we all deserve a break. Thanks, Matt.
For sure.